This video is going to focus on the Solo Flawless Warlords Ruin in the Into the Light update. For those that just want to see that and skip to the timestamps. Just to remind people though, this is very important and I'm going to be concise and short with this as much as possible. It is come to my attention that the stubborn stat hasn't changed too much, and 1 in 2 people who watch my channel are not subscribed. 50% of you are not subscribed to the channel. Now, this is odd because my watch time hours and the amount of unique people that come to the channel that haven't been here before, the watch time hours is brilliant. It's massive. But yet there's still people not subscribed. And I think it's mainly because people aren't checking that and it's not something that you do. So I'm asking a favor. No matter if you're subscribed or not, make sure that you actively check this that you are, because sometimes YouTube can unsubscribe you. If you haven't been to the channel for a while, that does happen. It can happen. But for other players, like I said, 50% of you aren't subscribed. And I say, why? And the reason why I ask why is because of this next stat I'm going to tell you. So my watch time hours for the last 28 days, not to bog you down with it, but was 12,404 hours in 1 month. Now, when you look at that number or you hear it, you think, well, big deal. Right, well, let's put it in context. 12,404 hours in 1 month equals 516 days. So try to put that in your perspective. So the last month, 516 days worth of watch time has happened on my channel. 516 days. That's equivalent to 1.25 years within 1 month. Try to absorb that stat in your mind. And then we go back to, well, why are people not subscribing? It's simply because they like to listen to the long format and they're forgetting to subscribe. And that's what it is. So make sure that you do. I'm not forcing people, so don't misquote me. I'm just saying, look, the channel's brilliant. The stats are brilliant, but this one stat is holding us back massively, this subscribe thing. It needs to, like I say, people need to come to the conclusion that you're going to have to do that if you want this channel to be successful. If you don't need to be successful, don't subscribe. And I'm fine with that as well, because I don't want everyone to sort of like want me to be successful, because I don't want that. I just want you to know what's best for me. That's it. Right, so emblems. So this is what this video is focusing on. I recommend that if you have not done your Solo Flawless Warlords Ruin, or Ghost of the Deep for that matter, that you do them before final shape, and here's why. And it's a big problem, I see, and there isn't a lot of time left until final shape. So this is a good time for me to get a good Solo Flawless out for people, an easy way of doing it as well, and for people to get their emblems, because I've looked into this. So the Solo Flawless Warlords Ruin, how many people have actually done this? Well, I can tell you that 37,490 unique Guardians have redeemed their emblem. The rarity of the emblem is 1.07%. So literally 1% of you have the emblem. This is a very rare emblem in the game. That is the case. So this idea that I see a lot of comments on Warlord Ruins videos that it's easy, this dungeon's easy, it just takes a lot of time. That's all those people that you see those comments of are probably in the only top 1%. So the rest of the 99% are not within this topic of saying it's easy. And if they do say it's easy, they're lying, because people lie on the internet. They say, oh, I've done it, and they haven't. Look, only 37,490 people have got the emblem. This is a problem, and that's what I want to address in this video to show you how to easily do it solo. That is it. One last comparison, the Grave Matter, the Ghost of the Deep. How many people have that emblem? This is according to emblem.report, which there'll be a link down below of that website. As of today, 5th of May, a Grave Matter, Solo Flawless Ghost of the Deep, 1.9% of you have that emblem. Bear in mind, Ghost of the Deep has been out a lot longer than Warlords Ruin. That equates to 67,501 unique Guardians have redeemed the emblem, a Grave Matter. So it's double the rarity of the Warlords Ruin, but it's been out a lot longer, right? So we can't. But I do think Ghost of the Deep is a little bit more difficult than Warlords Ruin in my opinion, but this video is focusing on the Warlords Ruin. So the loadouts, I wanted to incorporate some of the Into the Light update weapons, i.e. Mountaintop, Luna's Howl, etc. I'm not going to go into all the loadouts and the descriptions in this part of the video. It'll be detailed within each encounter. So you just go to each encounter and I'll say, right, this is what I use. This is what I used here. There'll be dim links. I don't need to go through all the description of like I use Soul Loader here, I used Arc Resist and all this sort of stuff. It'll be all in the video, in the run itself. But we did use 6 loadouts. So build 1, build 2, build 3, build 4. Build 1, build 2 is for the first boss. Build 3, build 4 is for the second boss. Build 5, build 6 is for the final boss. Like I said, there'll be information about all of this in the run, especially about the Luna's Howl and the Mountaintop situation. Obviously, bring a Dragon's Breath with you as well. So that's the description regarding the intro and the loadouts. Okay, so I'm going to try and do my best Warlords Ruin video yet, commentary-wise, gameplay-wise. Try and outdo myself from the past because I've done a couple of Warlords Ruin videos that have done really well, landed really well. I want to try and beat them myself. So, when you start, you want to use a Dragon's Breath shot right here to maintain some armor charges. With the Blast Radius IFAC mod that you should have equipped, which I showed you at the start of the video, you'll get free armor charges on rocket launcher kills. Dragon's Breath's really good for this, and this is part of my strat to maintain armor charges, to make sure that we have Solar Surge active when we need it. Pop a banner, swap to a triple solar chestplate. This will give you more Dragon's Breath shots. It'll give you 12 more precisely, and then we want to start the fight. So how the fight starts, this is how to easily do this fight, really easy. Start with a Dragon's Breath shot on the floor in mid. This will kill all the adds, and then we're going to kill some of the adds from the second spawn. There are 2 spawns. Right, now we're waiting for the boss. Try to cap the point for a second. This will make it easier to cap 2 scorn points. Now the mechanic with the taken eyes, you want to look for those. I was actually really slow at getting this. I believe I still capped because we got some luck there. So one on, we got a bit of bad luck with the taken eye. Second bit of luck was, well, the bit of luck here was that we got 2 points on the same location. So we'll do our surge switch. We're ready for it. Wait for boss's shield to go down, and then we do a radiant and then super with the Dragon's Breath straight away. Right, Dragon's Breath, radiant melee, then super. Then Dragon's Breath will be reloaded, then we do Mountaintop. This is my Frenzy Mountaintop. Frenzy Mountaintop. We end up using a different Mountaintop later on in the run, which I'll mention when we get to that point. Just spam Mountaintop shots at the end of DPS, then we do a surge switch. Back to base loadout. We're using 2 loadouts, build 1 and build 2. It's actually in your benefit, if you're on a Warlock, to copy my dim links, right, and then use them the way I did, and you'll get your surge switches, because we're basically knocking Solar Surge on and off via Healthy Finisher. But you don't need to know all the details, just that you've used the dim links. So what I do is I do a Dragon's Breath shot before I get teleported to the taken eyes. Yeah, this allows us to maintain armor charges, right, whilst we cap points. We do cap both points as well. Again, this doubles up DPS time. I'm pretty sure you know this, but just to state, you double your damage time if you get both cap points. We're going to pre-Dragon's Breath shot for the adds to maintain surges via Blast Radius, right, and then we're going to oh sorry, we didn't actually have our surges knocked on, and we still solo free phased. I've just noticed that now, so I should have actually knocked my surges back on. So I have no surges on this, and I still solo free phase. You won't solo 2 phase on this loadout. I can tell you with certainty that you will definitely not solo 2 phase on this loadout, but you will comfortably solo 3 phase, right? So we did actually knock our surges back off there. I should have knocked them back on, but that's fine because we solo 3 phase anyway, so it has no impact on the run whatsoever. It's just something that I've noticed. I haven't watched it back just right now. So we'll spam a bit of Dragon's Breath shots mid, and we'll try to cap the point for a second or 2 before we teleport to eyes. You shoot the 3 eyes, right? Look round with the hand cannon, of course, and then we again get decent RNG. So we got really lucky on this run, I must admit, with the scorn placements, the trap placements. But it's a comfortable solo free phase with Mountaintop, and Dragon's Breath. This is just showing you how really good it is. By the way, if I used Recombination Mountaintop, you would not have solo freebased. I'm sorry, but you wouldn't have. Because think about it, the first shot would have been maximum damage, and then second shot, pants down. Third shot, pants down. Fourth shot, pants down. No buff. No buff. Recombination's not for this. It's not for soloing with. It's not for like dungeons and stuff. It's got its own unique playstyle elsewhere. But look at that. Easy solo free phase. We'll pick up ammo. It doesn't matter though. Now we've got the jail cell. So the jail cell, for those that have been living under a rock and don't understand this, you look to your left. The skeleton will tell you how many dials you need to shoot anti-clockwise. I got one, the God Roll RNG, which means I only need to shoot one dial 3 times. So once for clockwise, second to stop clock, third to do anti-clockwise, right? But if the rest of it's just clockwise, you just shoot once. That's it. So those are all the dials. I don't think you're watching this video for the jail cell and how to do it, but if you are, that is a quick brief description on how to do it. If you had 5 from the skeleton, then it would be 5 anti-clockwise, and then the last dial will be clockwise, because there's 6 clocks. I'm going to call them clocks. I know they're not clocks, but I'm going to call them that for ease. There's 6 in total. So you just, if it's 2, then it's 4, right? If it's 3, then it's 3. Okay, really straightforward. I actually found it more difficult to do in a fire team than solo, in actual fact. So the jump maze, you need the puzzle. You need to know where you're going. You can easily lose your solo flawless on this. Just follow the route on screen. I know I've sped it up, but that's just for the purpose of the editing of the video. You should by now know the traps. If you're new to this, then you may need to do a couple of runs of the puzzle just to be familiar with where to go and how not to be killed, because there's traps on the side of the wall, there's spikes, etc, etc. So this little section, I'm aware that there's a new skip, and I have done it with Mountaintop rocket jumping. Mountaintop jumping, or whatever you want to call it. You can do it where you can scale the entire castle in front of me, and I have footage of it, but I just couldn't be bothered to add it to this video where you use heat rises and rocket jump right up. To be honest, it's not even worth doing on a solo flawless, because the time saved is like 15 seconds. At the cost of maybe dying, or it means you have to clear out all the ads on the bridge. That's a time loss. Like having to then clear out all the ads, then do a rocket jump. Just run past them. You don't need to do that. That's just for fun. I did try it, and I have successfully done it. It's not that it's hard. It's just that I don't recommend you doing it on a solo flawless. That is it. So we're now on the next set of builds. It is slightly different because we're using triple charged up on the chest plate. This means that we cannot use resistance mods because charge up takes our resistance away. However, on the build that we are using, okay, this doesn't matter too much that we're not rocking resistance, at least on normal Warlords Ruin, the normal variant. The reason being is because we've got a restoration build on that's really strong. Now we're using Luna's Howl. Obviously, I haven't really talked about that at all. So the role that I've got is Eye of the Storm Incandescent, which is not the God roll for PvE. This is the God roll for PvE. It is as follows. Not talking about battles, by the way. It is Heal Clip, Incandescent, God roll for PvE, hands down. It's the role that I need, and it's the role that you want. So that is the role that you're chasing for. It performs very well in this dungeon, Luna's Howl. Alright, so we're now doing the mechanics, right? Now, obviously, if you don't understand the mechanics, let me run you through it quickly or briefly. Eyes, once all the eyes have shot, this spawns in 2 Scorn Captains, left and right. You need to wait for the Scorn Captain to put additional trap down. You then kill the Scorn Captain to get the second trap. You then collect both Scorn traps whilst you get debuffed by Biting Winds. If Biting Winds hits 10 stacks, you die. But the solar flame, there's like a candle thing at the back of the map. I know there are candles, but whatever they are, they reset your buff, your debuff. So sometimes you can collect all 2 Scorn traps within the time limit, right? Sometimes you can't. My golden rule for you is this: once you get to -6 Biting Wind stacks, you run for debuff reset. 6 or 7, but if you go on 7, you might wipe. If you wipe at 10, that's it, you get frozen and you are killed. So my rule is, no matter what happens in the run, whether you've captured a trapper or not, you go at times 6. This is the biggest, best advice I can give you for this fight. Okay? Now, what you want to also do is work on weakening your captains. Mountaintop's fantastic. 3 Mountaintop shots, he's dead. Do you realise how much damage that is? Do you realise how good that is, usability-wise? Like, obviously the meta for Warlords Ruin, which I've covered, the solo meta that is, was Dragon's Breath and Scatter Signal. I honestly think, because of Mountaintop's range and stuff, because what you need to realize with Scatter Signal is it has range drop off. It's a fusion rifle. Mountaintop does not have range drop off in terms of damage, so this makes things, it's one less thing to think about, and the damage is comparable to Scatter Signal, and it's got better ammo economy. So for the Warlords Ruin meta solo wise, you want to run just Mountaintop and Dragon's Breath. Now you saw that I had a little trouble with the snipers. To explain with the sniper spawn, this is the next biggest tip for you. Make sure you kill the snipers after every time you get orbs in middle, because that's when they spawn. They're not infinite. The rest of the spawn enemies are, but they're just smaller spawn enemies. They are infinite, the snipers are not. So once you've got 4 relics, make sure you clear those snipers, because they will give you problems during DPS. This will probably wipe you during DPS when you don't want it to happen. So that is golden rule. Once you've got 4 relics, first thing to do, kill snipers left and right. There's 4 total, 2 each side. Yeah? The next goal is to start dunking relics. Now I can play quite aggressive here and dunk whilst using Karnstein armlets, yeah, which is part of my restoration build, and sort of juggle between restoration, meleeing, and dunking the orbs, so we can speed this up a little bit. Once you've dunked 3 relics, that's what you want to, that's your next goal. Dunk 3 relics, then clear out adds in middle. This is gonna be good for your DPS, right? I would say you only need 1 green brick on the floor, but that won't happen. You'll end up having 3 or 4 probably, because you're gonna be spamming a lot of Mountaintop during damage, and 22 shots won't be enough for damage. Like, it's a lot of ammo, but you'll be cut shy shortly on the 4th play. I know this because I actually done a rotation with no green bricks on the floor at all. So the taken acolytes are also infinite, but there's a sweet spot. So as a new fresh acolyte spawns, you want to kill them. This is absolute the way to do this, by the way. Any other way of doing this is more riskier, and it means that there's no taken acolytes on spawn, on DPS, sorry. So kill all acolytes, right? Crouch behind relic thing, surge switch to your surge switch build, which in my case is build 4, right? Then go over to the 4th final dunk, whichever rotation you're doing. I recommend the rotation I'm doing though. Then you do Dragon's Breath, Radiant Melee, that's Fire, Celestial Fire of course, then Super. All super, and then another Dragon's Breath shot, because that's reloaded, then Mountaintop damage. All Mountaintop damage till 0 seconds. Edge out each plate as much as possible. Right, now, then we're going to get a healing nade down, right, and then kill all the taken scions. Then we're going to go into the plate 2, and then again, Dragon's Breath shot, all Mountaintop. When we get to about 8 to 9 seconds, that's when I can tell you that Dragon's Breath will have reloaded itself, because it's based on Scorch stacks, and because we've got the Dawn Chorus helmet on, which increases Scorch stacks, it reloads Dragon's Breath better. So that is a little tip for you. It enhances Dragon's Breath. That's why another reason why I've got the helmet on. Weller Radiance just isn't as good, I don't think, for this fight. Although you can solo 2-phase with Weller Radiance as well, but you need the exact right stuff on. This is also nearly solo 2-phaseable, but it's going to be shy for most people, because you need to play absolute perfect. I mean, we've had, to be fair, I've played 98% well here. I haven't missed 1 Mountaintop shot, nothing's been missed. So the damage you're seeing is pretty good. And we've still got surges, look on the left hand side. That's why I run triple surges. You probably didn't need to run triple charged up now looking at it, because I guess what's happening there is the blast radius is still proccing for us during DPS on some of the ads. So I maintained even more surges. So I would have probably only needed 1 charged up, maybe 2 charged up, because it's a lot of time to have surges up for the 4 plates. This is a lot of time, and I don't think 3 armor charges is sufficient. You want more than that. But this is going to be a solo free phase anyways, so I suppose it's not that critical. But this just goes to show how well the build is working for us, because Karnstein Armlets gives us restoration via melee kills. It gives a lot of seconds, more than what a healer nade does. I'll repeat it, Karnstein Armlets does more restoration than what a healer nade does at base. Okay, Karnstein Armlets on a solo Warlock is absolutely worth it when you're not DPSing a boss. If you're in an activity where you can switch loadouts, then what you do is use a base loadout of Karnstein, then you swap to Dawn Chorus. I didn't use Karnstein on the first boss because there was no need for that, but on this fight it absolutely is beneficial to have it. You don't have to run Karnsteins, but what else would you run when you're just clearing ads? And I feel as though because of the adjustment to restoration and the fact that it doesn't last as long now, which was a nerf by the way, it was not a buff. Don't believe people say it's a buff, it's not a buff. It does give more restoration per orange bar and yellow bars and stuff, but per minor bar, if you're just up against minor red bars, yeah, restoration will run out quicker than what he did. So adding a restoration Karnstein Armlet in the mix amplifies the amount of restoration time that you have. It's a huge thing, so I highly recommend it. You don't need Dawn Chorus on, you're not using your super, you don't need it for anything, so don't worry about it. So what I do is I work on right side Acolytes first, because my whole strategy for this fight is left side, left side, left side. Right side Scorn Captain, don't use them. You're making a mistake if you do use them. Unless you have a strat where you kill them both, which is quite difficult to pull off. But for the most part, if you just kill them one, which majority of you should just be killing one, Scorn Captain, then use left side, because he's just better. There's plenty of cover. I am getting hit quite a bit here because we got an enemy spawn, but I was waiting for the Scorn Captain to put down his trap. So one thing you've got to also notice is when the Scorn Captain's spawning, take note to the left hand side. Has Biting Winds started earlier? Because Biting Winds does not start at the same time every time. It is a debuff, but it won't start always. Sometimes it starts when it shouldn't. As soon as the Scorn Captain spawns in, Biting Wind starts. That shouldn't be the case, but sometimes that happens. If that happens, this is what you do. Melt down that Scorn Captain as quickly as you can. Try and cap some of the Scorn point, but then go for safety. Go for debuff reset, because even like 5 seconds of you not realizing that Biting Winds has started, or you're behind rotation, then this message runs up, and it can happen. It did happen to me this week, and when that happens, that's a wipe. That could potentially be a wipe where you get messed up with the rotation. So if that happens, melt down your captain, just cap 1 point. Don't worry about trying to get 2. This is a only happens 1 in every 10 times, so don't worry about that too much. But if you see Biting Winds, you can see the Biting Winds debuff on your screen. Everything's different, the screen looks a little different, so you'll know. And then obviously always keep an eye on them buffs and debuffs. You should always be, this is the biggest thing for like dungeons, is always be keeping an eye on armor charges, debuffs, radiant, restoration. All that stuff should be kept an eye on at all times. Like, not at all times, but like you should glance over there, right, every now and then. Like, really pay attention to it. So now we're just rinsing and repeating at this point. We're going to dunk some relics here. Also, another part of my preparation, it's all about the preparation for this. Eyes, taken eyes. Don't kill all the taken eyes once you've got 4 orbs, because you start the Biting Winds debuff. So imagine that you accidentally kill taken eyes in mid and you get Biting Winds. This will kill you. So what I do is, you don't want all the taken eyes up because they're going to melt you. What you want to do is leave 2 taken eyes up, 1 left, 1 right. You've spread them out a little bit. This means that This means that biting winds won't start, right? It means that won't happen, but it also means they're not going to do a lot of damage to you while you're dunking orbs. So that's the preparation. Leave 2 eyes alive before DPS, and also do the Taken Acolyte preparation that I told you. Kill the Taken Acolytes as they spawn, then go for dunk. This means Taken Acolytes do not spawn during DPS, but Scions do, but that's fine. Scions are very, very easy to deal with. Right, so same DPS rotation. Dragon's Breath shot, Radiant melee, super. All that super. Then another Dragon's Breath shot. Remember though, Dragon's Breath can kill you, so don't go too close to the boss if the boss does push like that. Then Mountaintop damage, then a healer nade, then we go with Luna's Howl. We don't need to instantly go to that plate, although we might now because the boss has been enraged. So this can also happen as well, where the boss randomly enrages. Do we lose DPS plate? Because you can. We don't. So look at how good that is. The reason why we didn't lose the plate is because of Dragon's Breath stopping him. Dragon's Breath has stopping power or stun damage on bosses. So what I mean by stun damage, I don't mean like damage as in at 2003 or 4005 or whatever damage. I don't mean that. What I mean is that it's stun and locking them. The 2 best weapons in the game for stun locking bosses are Leviathan's Breath and Dragon's Breath. But I think Dragon's Breath on this fight is better than Leviathan's Breath because it does more damage. It's got a pairing. So Dragon's Breath Mountaintop will do more damage than what Levy will. I know this for fact because I've seen footage. I don't recommend to you Leviathan's Breath for this fight, but in the future, if Dragon's Breath ever becomes not that good, then Levy would be something that we rely on to stun lock the boss and still get some sizable damage in. Like you can still solo free phase, I think, with Leviathan's Breath. You need to be perfect though, and bear in mind you're at the mercy of crits then. If you don't crit with Levy, then good luck to you. And on that fight, it's hard to crit the Ogre. Dragon's Breath doesn't require crit. Mountaintop does not require crit, and it doesn't require range drop off. Because if you start, say, a plate too soon and the boss is all the way over the side of the map, this does not matter. For Mountaintop, you're still going to get the same damage whether the boss is 20 meters away or 15 meters away. It doesn't matter. But with Scatter Signal, it does. You're going to receive range drop off and you will do less damage. Say on plate 3, that's where it will happen. And the boss is all the way over plate 2, nearly plate 1. If you start plate 3 too early, your plate 3 damage will be less because of Scatter Signal's range drop off. Fusion rifles drop off. Any fusion. It's not just Scatter Signal itself. I'm not trying to underplay how Scatter Signal is. It's still well within the meta. I'm just saying that I think, generally speaking, Mountaintop's more accessible and better to use than Scatter Signal. Even despite that Scatter Signal gets enhanced overflow, or he gets the crafting overflow, he gets 16 shots, we don't have to load it, etc, etc. Even despite that, I still would say to somebody new to this, put on Mountaintop. Put on Mountaintop. It's still better for you as long as you've got the roll. So let's talk about the rolls a little bit because we've covered this fight now to its extent. So the roll for Mountaintop should be hard launch, the barrel. People have done tests on this. I believe it's not quick launch, it's hard launch. This is very important because you actually lose like 8 to 10% damage if you don't get the right barrel and mag perk. You then either want implosion rounds or spike, but the difference between implosion rounds and spike, if you have hard launch, is it's not that huge of a big deal. But just know that you need either one. Okay, if you don't have either spike or implosion, the roll that you've got's not good on the Mountaintop. You're gonna lose a lot of damage because of it. It's such a big deal. So you need spike or implosion, and then hard launch. Boom, you're good. Then you need to look at columns. So Mountaintop's a hard farm. It's really a difficult farm because of this. So the next thing with the columns, well, you want at least Frenzy or Vorpal. If you get Frenzy or Vorpal with the right barrel and the right mag perk, you're golden. If the first trait isn't that good, like for me, Slick Draw, then no big deal too much. You've still got a really usable Mountaintop that's going to do well for you in solo endgame. It's as simple as that, right? Don't be using recombo in this for like solo DPS on dungeons. It's just not what you want to use because of like long damage phases. Recombination just wouldn't be applicable. All right, so trust me on that. I don't really need to, as I say, justify the recombination of you not using it, but I know, like, seriously, you wouldn't use it. You'd be more better with a spammy type of Mountaintop like Frenzy and Vorpal. There's a slight problem with Frenzy though when we get to the final boss, and I'll talk about that when we get to it. Notice as well, you get the taken ultras, the minotaurs. Obviously we just kill these, make sure that you kill them. They only respawn after every phase, but once they're killed, that's it. Dragon's Breath will take them out quickly. Mountaintop almost one-shots them. If you're Radiant, it does. That's really good. Like, I can tell you now, Scatter Signal doesn't do that. Scatter Signal does not one-shot him from that type of range that I just did before. You have to use a few shots, and I know this from memory, okay, of me using Scatter Signal, because I've used Scatter Signal loads in Warlords Rune. Like, I have quite a few hours in this, so I do know that I can say that. Again, dunk your free orbs, right, and then just take out the acolytes. We're going to wait for acolyte phase. Like I said earlier with the Luna's Howl, Heal Clip Incandescent is the true role that you want. Forget about Magnificent Howl. It is a bad perk in PvE. It's poor. It really, and it's been proven as well on videos that it's poor. So forget about Magnificent Howl. It's just sort of a glorified kill clip, but the thing is, the conditions of it are huge. Getting 10 kills in PvE just to get one high shot damage, you know, just to get that times 10 buff isn't worth it. Incandescent in PvE is worth it, and Heal Clip is amazing perk because you can make it work on other classes other than Solar, and it's going to become a very important hand cannon in the game. So make sure that you try to get Heal Clip Incandescent Luna's Howl. It's a very important role. I didn't even have it, and I still done well with it because I don't have the absolute god roll. But that's just my short little take on it. Do I think that Luna's Howl is better than like the best solo hand cannon? Maybe not, but it's probably second best. It's joint with the integration hand cannon that's a high impact frame, whereas Luna's Howl's 180. It's a question of which frame you prefer. The thing about the integration hand cannon, it's got tracer rockets and they do massive damage. However, Luna's Howl has the Dominality origin perk, which gives you more grenade energy, therefore more healing nades. So it's a question of, do you want tracer rockets with an overcharged hand cannon because of the origin trait on the artifact mod, on the artifact mods, or do you want more nades? Chances are, I think you want more nades. So I think because of that, this hand cannon is probably better than integration just because of its origin trait, but only just. Like the integration hand cannon, you've saw me use it, it's fantastic, but so is Luna's Howl, and the fact that you can get a heal clip and that the other hand cannon can't is a big difference. Like you can use the heal clip roll on like a Strand Warlock, a Stasis Behemoth. There's so much opportunities with that. So this little, I'm going to speed up the footage because this is, like I say, there's not a lot to talk about, but make sure that you kill the snipers. Common sense prevails. Try not to skip them. Just kill them with Mountaintop Look. You can kill them quickly. You can even use Dragon's Breath if you want, which I do end up doing that here. So I'm going to do that here right now, look. So you can actually do that. This jump coming up can be awkward. There's a way I do it though that makes it, you know, that you're alright. So you want to float over here to this zone here. These locations won't fall. Some of the platforms do fall. That's why I take that route. Really straightforward. This bit, take note of where the phalanxes spawn. They spawn left or right. In this instance, it was left. So we go right. We edge to the right so that they don't boop us. We pop a healing nade. Also, in case that they kill us, so we don't lose Solar Flawless, and then we're done. right? Up until now, we're just doing ag clear, right? So this is no problem at all. So I'll talk about the preparations that you want for the final boss. So the preparations, we're gonna again, we're using a slightly different, well, we're using the same build, but just alterations on resistances. So for example, now we're going to be putting on Void Resist, because the boss, you definitely want Void Resist on, and you want to Arc Resist on for Scions. The Solar Resist, is there anything that does Solar? I suppose the Knight, the Scorn Captains do, but what's more important mainly is the boss, because when you're doing DPS, the boss is hitting you with that Void stuff. It allows you to play more aggressive if you use Void Resist. So make sure you put Void Resist on. That's why there's a slightly alteration on the build. That's why there's a separate dim link for it. But it's the same thing again. We're going to be using Canstein Armlets on our survivability based build, and then we're going to swap, though this is different, we're going to swap to Apotheosis Veil. Apotheosis Veil grants grenade energy, melee energy, ability energy basically, as you pop your super for a duration of time after you pop that well, or super. But in this case, we can use fusion grenades to do extra damage. We're gonna still have Mountaintop on, but we've swapped the Mountaintop role. You keen eye viewers will have noticed, some of you won't. So did you notice the first role was Frenzy? This role isn't Frenzy, it is now Vorpal. The reason for that I will disclose when we get to the near the end of the first phase of damage. We're going to get a Dragon's Breath shot down for these wizards when they spawn, because Dragon's Breath, you can spam it. Okay, you get lots of ammo, and you only need one. You only need 1 to 2 shots per damage phase, and you get a lot of Dragon's Breath ammo on the floor, so you can use it on wizards to spawn kill and stuff like that. So that's exactly what we do to make our lives easier. Now all we're going to be at the mercy of is a infinite wave of Scions like so. We've got Restoration with Luna's Howl, which we're going to keep killing, but we're going to multitask that and the Blights, the Eyes, the Taken Eyes. Once you kill Taken Eyes, that starts the next mechanic, which is 2 Scorn Captains, left and right. We're going to kill them both. Alright, we're going to kill them both. We're not going to wait for them to put a trap up, because waiting for the trap means that you're losing time on the buff, on the Imminent Wish buff. You start with 29 seconds. Alright, we got close there, we're alright though. Got a healing nade, that's why we've got some of the Scions up, to instantly get health regen on a melee. So now what we're going to do is wait. We're going to try and cap these Scorn Point. We've transferred buff. We're going to jump in the air though, out of it. Because what happens is, once you transfer that debuff back to the Scorn melee enemy, he'll eventually die from the poison. So we'll pop well, then we'll do Dragon's Breath, Radiant Melee, and then just some fusion grenades, and then Mountaintop. That's our damage rotation. And that's literally what we do there. There'll be some times I do this rotation better than other times. It just depends. I'm going to proceed to the next platform. I'm going to leave the Scions up. I tested to see if the Scions down on the previous platform would stay alive, because I could farm them at a later date for surges. This didn't end up happening. They actually end up despawning, interestingly enough. So that's fine. But what did you notice what happened there though? We actually were able to spawn kill the wizards, because they spawn up as the taken steps become jumpable, where you can jump on them and stuff. So we can actually spawn kill the wizards as we get up here if we come right to this platform, which is also nice, because as I said, you get plenty of Dragon's Breath ammo, and that's why it's just so good. You could run a bait and switch type heavy GL like Cascade Point and stuff. You know, you could run Edge Transit, but it doesn't matter that you do that, because it's still a solo 2 phase. I mean, I suppose you could solo 1 phase with like a Celestial Night Orc Hunter with Edge Transit and sort of do it like that, but we're not on a Hunter. So what I'm trying to say to you is, because of how the fight is designed, it doesn't matter if you're solo 1 phase or 2 phase, and because the phase is that long that there's a lot of room for error, and that you still prevail in the fight. Because this fight's very interesting, because it starts as a burst damage fight, as you can see here, like it starts as a burst damage fight, and then it progresses to a main damage phase that you would see in any other boss fight, and then you got like a final stand. So there's lots of different elements to it, but damage is not a worry, especially on this loadout. It's not a worry at all. Don't worry about it. It's staying alive. We've got restoration here, which is fine. We'll transfer buff over, debuff that is. He actually gave me it back. Did you see that? So I noticed. Always pay attention to debuffs. So if you notice there, he actually gave me it back. So I went back to him and gave me it back. He can transfer it back to you. So that Dragon's Breath shot has went to Africa. We have missed. This is the only time we miss a shot. You know why that happened though? I'm going to tell you exactly why that happened. Why this happened was a thing called composure. So there's a thing in Destiny called composure, or I name it that. So when things happen bad to us, we tend to make mistakes in game, and that's exactly what happened to me. Because I just had a traumatic experience with a Scorn melee enemy try to touch me up, alright, I had sort of given it back just in time, and we were a second off wiping. So I was still thinking about that as I popped my well, and while I was thinking about that, I totally just didn't aim my Dragon's Breath shot as I should have done, which resulted in a slight error, but in the grand scheme of things it didn't affect it. It was still a comfortable solo 2 phase. So even though that happened, it's not an actual error if nothing, it's not an error if it impacted the phases. So what I say to you about this, about dungeons, if an error has happened that you did, has it impacted the phases of the fight? So has it changed the fight from a solo 2 phase to a solo 3 phase? If the answer is no, then it's not an error. But it's something that you learn from. It's something that you learn from, certainly. But it's not an error because it hasn't impacted the time of the run. We're still having to go through this phase of farming a silver per plate, and we are locked in to the way the boss works. It's all part of the process with Warlords Ruin, on this final boss at least. So what I'm going to do on this plate, I don't like this plate at all for the captains. They don't tend to put up a second trap. So what I do is make a compromise. I'm compromising to just do one Scorn trap, transfer debuff, get the hell out of there because I hate this platform, and jump out of there. This is how we're going to do DPS. We're only going to get half the damage time. Yeah, but we'll still be able to meet the requirements very easily. So we're going to stand up top. Make sure that you jump off by the time when the timer has run out. We've got 7 seconds. So when we get down to 1 or 2 seconds, we're going to jump off. But look at that. We still meet the requirements. This actually means that we do less damage overall, but it won't matter too much because we'll make up for that damage with the Apotheosis build anyways. This is a compromise. So we are compromising damage for survivability. We're saying, okay, forget the 2 traps because there's RNG that occurs with the traps. We can melt 2 captains. I've done that strat a lot as well in runs. But you know what? For the double extra time that we get there, it's not worth it. For most players, forget about it. Just do 1 trap, because you're going to get so much more damage. Look at the damage we do here. So we'll pop our well, we've surge switched. So look at the damage. Doing really good with Mountaintop with the pairing. We're going to do another Dragon's Breath shot as well, mid damage phase, because we're doing so much Scorch stacks with the fusion grenades, etc, etc. It's going to reload Dragon's Breath more frequently. The way to test that is try using Dragon's Breath with no extra Scorch. You'll notice it doesn't reload as good. It's based on Scorch stacks. So that's where people will mess up with their Dragon's Breath. We're going to quickly go to the next plate because we've still got surges up. The only problem with this is we don't have a debuff. But that's fine. Because we don't need to do direct half HP to do a solo 2 phase. Because notice the final stand bar on the HP bar, right? So it's not exactly half that we need to do to achieve solo 2 phase. It's slightly above half. So don't worry about the damage too much. Like I said, we can make up for this more than enough. So far the damage is subpar. It's below than what it should be because of us missing that Dragon's Breath shot. It made a bit of a difference actually, because it went to Africa, didn't it? the Dragon's Breath shot, so we lost damage. So now we're looking for ammo. Obviously on the first 2 plates, there's going to be tons of ammo. This is one biggest mistake. I see people, they rush the damage phase on the final plates, because you've got 3 plates to stand on. They don't start until you stand on them. You're not under any time conviction at all. You don't need to rush it. So we're going to wait for our Celestial Fire melee to debuff via Revitalize and Blast. I recommend that you do it. You could probably wait, well, I have done this, wait for every plate your Celestial Fire, so that you're debuffing every plate. It maximizes damage. Certainly don't make sure that you're solo free phasing him, because that's extending the time of the fight, therefore extending time of death. Try not to do that. So there's a balance to be made here. I'm not saying intentionally do less damage. I'm not saying that at all. I'm saying make compromises. See, for one to make a compromise, what I'm talking about, one needs to know the maximum amount of damage that you would do in the first place, which I do. Right, so imagine a bar. Maximum damage, least amount of damage. We want to be somewhere between the middle to the upper limit of maximum damage that we do. But we don't care if we don't do maximum, because it's a solo 2 phase anyways. So it makes no odds. So even if the damage is subpar, it's still solo 2 phase. The only time it would change to a solo 3 phase is if we completely mess up the plates completely. That's when that's a problem. So I'm saying there's a lot of room for error in this loadout because of how strong it is. Because of Revitalize and Blast with Apotheosis Veil and being able to spam fusion nades with Mountaintop and Dragon's Breath, it means that the damage is just so clean. Even if I was to miss a damage plate entirely, I would still solo 2 phase. So it's really good this. This means that the way my brain works on these solo flawlesses is, okay, the average player, how many times would they mess up? If they messed up 2 or 3 plates, they would still confirm solo 2 phase, which means that this is really accessible and good. So we've actually took quite a bit of time melting down that captain. We missed 1 or 2 Mountaintop shots, but that's fine. Look at Imminent Wish. I will remind people as well, and I should have mentioned this probably near the start of the video, it takes 8 seconds to cap a Scorn plate. 8 seconds, you get 29 seconds of Imminent Wish. So it's reasonable as long as like 2 traps are close to each other. That's why I recommend try and melt both, just in case you only get 1, but as a backup Scorn trap. So we have a backup one just in case, say we melt down the second guy and he doesn't put down an extra trap, then it's no big deal. We're going to go same again right away to the next plate, because look, the wizard spawn. Get a Dragon's Breath shot down. None of the taken stuff's here yet either, which is good. We'll get a healing rift as well, because we have no healing nade, but that's fine. By the way, with the Luna's Howl, I felt as though it melts mages quicker sometimes than the integration hand cannon, because you need to understand the difference between like a high impact frame and a 180 RPM, and it's up to you what you prefer. I honestly think that, you know, but I honestly think that I like Luna's Howl. I love it. I just want a heal clip on it, and it makes all the difference. And then to me, I'd be like, oh, it's the best hand cannon in the game. To you it's not. The King's Fall hand cannon is. I understand why that is. But to me, it's one of the best hand cannons in the game, because I can use heal clip on classes that are not solar. Remember, Destiny is never, it's never locked in. So just because there's a solar meta now doesn't mean there is one in Battleship. Because we're getting prismatic, there's not going to be restoration like there is now. It's going to be different. There's not going to be Flint Striker. There's not going to be easy Radiant like there is now. The Radiant's going to proc as it should normally. You know, you can't just get it by a crit. It's not going to be a debuff at your fingertips on a solar subclass. So everything changes. So things like heal clip are going to be more important to us in Final Shape than they are right now. And that's why I'm saying make sure you've got your heal clip weapons, because they're very important to the game, especially when you want to play on a class that doesn't revolve around healing, and some of the classes do not have healing, right? Void's good at it, Solar's good at it, Arc hasn't. So if you want to run a curious Fallen Star Titan, you compare the Luna's Howl, Heel Clip Incandescent with that Arc Titan, and you now can survive in endgame. Really good in dungeons like this. Therefore, you're making other elements more accessible to use. That is an exotic perk, in my opinion. It's the equivalent of an exotic perk because we're allowing other elements to be useful when otherwise they wouldn't be. Although Arc has got healing, but it's very limited on how you heal with Arc. Same for Stasis, same for Strand, apart from Banner of War Titans. So that's what I'm saying, is that Heal Clip's so important to the game because it's a bridging perk that allows us to use healing on other classes other than Solar. DPS rotation's the same. Look at the HP bar. So now we're starting to eat away at it. This phase has been much better than phase 1, just because we've hit all our shots. That's fine. We'll kill all the signs as well, just for ammo drops on that previous plate, because we may want them. We definitely want them for final stand, etc, etc. We'll get a Dragon's Breath shot down, and then kill the wizards. Look at the damage it's doing from a range, so it's really good. Like I say, it's not just for the video, but I honestly do think Luna's Howl, it's really good in PvE once you get the roll. Forget about Magnificent Howl. See, what Magnificent Howl is trying to do, he's trying to say to you, hey look, hey buddy, I know you like hand cannons, but I've got this big buff that you can get. But then Malfeasance comes along and says, hello, Lucky Pants Malfeasance doesn't need such things. Warden's Law, right, 4 times vorpal weapon. This fills the role of a Lucky Pants Hunter hand cannon. Luna's Howl doesn't do this. Luna's Howl is 2 things. It's either a PvP role that you're chasing for, or it is Heal Clip Incandescent. There's nothing else you want. There is Subsistence, but honestly, what is better, Subsistence or Heal Clip? I can tell you that. I'm going to give you 5 seconds to answer the question, and I'll see if you're right. Okay, so if you answered Subsistence, you don't know what you're talking about. Heal Clip is definitely better than Subsistence. Being able just to load bullets in your mag is no big deal. We have solar loaders. We have exotic loaders. We're fine. We don't need the Subsistence. Whilst it is nice in a lost sector, that's all it's nice for. You're not going to get Subsistence to proc in GMs. Heal Clip will proc in dungeons, GMs, nice. It means we're surviving. Surviving is better than loading a bullet to your hand cannon, because if you're dead, you can't load a bullet to your hand cannon. So do you get it? That's the difference, and that's the prism of what we make decisions on, is survivability, not loading bullets into a gun. That's not going to make any difference, even though it does look nice and it does feel nice on lower tier ads. But that's all it does. There's an upper limit to that perk, that's what I'm trying to tell you. And this is a problem with a whole host line of perks like Golden Tricon, Desperate Measures isn't that good. It's all because of the perk uptime isn't that good, and the way that we activate those perks aren't useful to us in serious content in D2. But like Heal Clip is something that procs a lot. Even in GMs it'll proc. So that's what I'm saying, the power of it has went up because of that. So we'll pop a well again, Apotheosis Veil damage. We have 3 plates of damage, so now what I'm thinking about is, let's not try to melt him. We don't need to melt him because we've got 3 plates of damage, and it doesn't matter if we use 2 plates or 3, we're still going to go to final stand no matter what. So there's no optimization to be done here apart from ammo conservation, because for final stand you want some ammo for final stand. Alright, if you go to final stand with no Mountaintop ammo and no Dragon's Breath ammo and just a hand cannon, you've messed up. Especially if you're at this situation I am right now, where we've done that much DPS that it doesn't matter now what we do. What does matter is ammo. All this ammo is going to despawn on these plates, so we may as well go and pick it up. So I put a triple solar reserve plate on. I'm going to pick it all up. This is smart. This is plain smart. We're going to pick it all up. We haven't got Solar Scav on though, notice, because we're still on the Apotheosis Veil build, and I should have swapped. I actually forget to do this, which I should have swapped already, and I haven't. So that was actually a minor mistake I made. So at this point, you should be swapping. back to your cancelling armors build, because that contains scav on it, whereas this build contains 3 surges, which is of no use. Although I think we do proc it though off the eyes. We'll soon see. If we manage to get Dragon's Breath to proc on the eyes, there you go, we do. Oh, that's interesting. So that's good. So we're actually getting a surge actively here. So that's actually okay, but we don't have a healing nade. That's the problem. And you may want a healing nade on the final plate, just in case. But I will say this about the final stand. Honestly, this is the easiest final stand that I've ever done on this boss with the Mountaintop. Because again, Scatter Signal would suffer from range drop off when you're trying to kill the boss on final stand, and it would be a little bit more awkward to kill him. Mountaintop doesn't. It is a rocket, sniper, grenade launcher all in one. That's what makes it like sort of the king special in the game right now, I think. I think it is. I think it's really good. I mean, sniper's also really good on this boss. You've saw me do that in the past, but Mountaintop's comparable anyways, because you still solo 2-phase, and so it doesn't matter whether you use a sniper or not, you're still going to solo 2-phase if you use Mountaintop, so that's why I'm recommending it. Final phase, we'll pop a healing if we don't have a healing nade, so we're going to play a little bit more aggressive. But this is easy because you can just strafe in and out like this, so the eyes can barely hit me, look, because we're doing the strafe Mountaintop strat. Really easy to pull off. So that was the solo flows for this. I hope you enjoy. Thank you.